Okay, reverse ceilings. Type 1, 2x4s, 2x2 compound ceiling systems. We're going to place those in the lab rooms in general, and we're going to make them 10 feet above the slab. H stands for height. So I'm going to do my level 5 because it's the one that I have most completed. But I'm sure you guys have better, hopefully at this point. If you've seen this video and you're not good, or if you're like I am, you should be in trouble right now. You should be much better. And that's for you, the one that is listening, which is the future. These jokes are good. Okay. Ceiling under architecture, and you have two options. We're going to deal most of the times for now with automatic ceiling, but if you want to deal with serious stuff, you're going to have to do a sketch. Okay. Automatic ceiling recognizes partitions. Now, first thing, before clicking anywhere, escape. Where do we want to do a ceiling? In the ceiling plans. Okay, I do not have many of them. I don't know if you have created them, but if you haven't, like I haven't, you have to go to Plan Views, Reflect Ceiling Plans, and select the ones you're going to be having. Now, I'm only asking for level 1 and level 4 and 5, or 3 and 4, I'm not sure. I'm going to just do all of those. They will appear under ceiling plans here. I'm going to go to level 5, double click. Now here's again a good time to remind you that it's not the same to draw in the ceiling plan that it is to draw in a normal plan, in a floor plan. The view range are totally different. The ceiling plans allow us to see the ceiling itself. Okay, so we press now yes that we are in the ceiling plan level 5. At ceiling, we stay in automatic ceiling, and here we're going to place 10 feet. You see how before pressing and you stay on top of a room, a red line appears surrounding. It recognizes all the perimeter lines. If you don't have partitions ever, it's going to recognize the exterior facade. So be careful that you have your room perfectly delimited. Okay. You press that, automatically creates your ceiling. Now you can select either the line, or you can press tab and select the overall thing and press edit boundary. Magenta lines, if you want to change, just going crazy. If it says not, let's go back. You can change the limit of how the ceiling is created. Okay, and Control C there. If you select the line and you move the line, you're just changing the grid. Now, automatically Revit tries its best. Normally, its best is not good enough, so be careful. Its best is always centering for both sides. Okay. So sometimes you probably want to keep one of the units entirely in one of the sides. So you can select one, MV for moving, go to the edge, and all of the pieces are entire except these ones, so they're the only ones you really have to cut. Okay. Now, depends on the office you work. They're going to be more interested in saving money or being aesthetically correct, or style. So I Control C there to have half and half, which I think it's more stylish. Another thing that you could consider is to move these lines, which are these little channels in the ceiling, and associate them with the partitions. So that's also elegant, no? Now sometimes, and that comes from the analysis we did before, you might want to change and start aligning your partitions to your ceiling. Why not? If you have a very serious client, you're going to want a very serious understanding of details. So the ceiling should be related to partitions, partitions should be related to ceiling, etc., etc. Everything is somehow visually connected, no? So what I did in that case is move the partitions to the ceiling. Okay. So in that sense we're done. We don't want that little piece there, so you see that would be a moment to say move and align there. And you could even, if you have a lot of space and you're okay with not saving money. You can move that. There you go. So that could be a nice detail of ceiling. Okay, the ceiling could be selected again by pressing the line and tabbing, and you're going to have, like in many other family, you're going to have different type of ceilings. We're going to have generic, which is not going to be the one we're using, but you can have the 2x2 if it helps you better fit in your partitions. Let's move this back here. Move and move. Align. Wall faces. Align. Sorry. Align. Align. Edit. Align. Enter. Okay, so I kind of fixed everything. So that's 2x2. I probably think that this is not a good solution in terms of 2x2. So you can always move the ceilings back and forth until you have a very good dimension in all of the perimeter sides. Okay, so you can again select by tabbing there and change it to gypsum board, and mountain. I'm going to do a section now to see how this is looking. I'm going to click here on section. And under fine detail, this is what we have. Now, Revit does not draw your details such as hangers and so, but you know, we're not going to care about that. The distance, we placed 10 for this in order to have the necessary ducts coming from ventilation and air conditioning. And the distance that really matters for the engineer is the distance that you have between the bottom of the beam and the top of the ceiling rackets or metal profiles here, because that's where you cannot count the overall to the floor, no? So we're going to keep it at 10, which is good. I'm going to go to the floor again. And change that to gypsum board, as I said before. Gypsum board does not have any line whatsoever, so that's good. Why not? I'm going to go back to 2x4. You have to use the 3 options, as I mentioned. Now, to this type of ceiling and to any other type of ceiling, you can embed lighting fixtures of different kinds. Okay, so in order to place lighting, furniture, or most of the components that don't fit to a specific ingredient, such as stairs or architectural units, they're more like elements that are hooked to other elements. You're going to use component, such as furniture, other installations. So you press there, and you first check what's going on under the component. So you see you have trees, you have some supports. Who knows why that is there? Parking space. So we don't have what we want, and not even the desk is of our interest. I'm going to press load family, and for lighting, we just go to lighting, architectural, internal, and you can click here or control scroll to see what's going on here one by one. So we're going to use several of them, and I'm mentioning them here in the lecture later on. Lighting internal, downlights, recessed can, etc. Just going to place one for now, and then we'll get back to that. I'm going to say open. So you see how you cannot place it in many places. It only allows you to place it in a ceiling and in a ceiling plan. You can press spacebar, used to, and it should be rotated. I don't know if it's a problem with the recording now, but if you press spacebar, I think it should rotate. Otherwise, you place it, you escape, and you just rotate it. RO. And now you start aligning to the grid. Align to the grid. And there you go. You can copy these guys, CO, start placing different places of the ceiling, no? Let's say multiple. You can also move them, MV, and again copy. CO. There you go. CO. Oops, MV. That's not what we wanted. Okay, good lighting. Now, another good way of seeing if things are going okay is to create a camera and place it inside. Now, obviously that's not cool. Why is that? If you place a camera from the ceiling plan, it goes to the level of the ceiling. You can still correct it by placing, selecting this little bubble, pressing Shift if you want, and say look, and you can say orbitate down. You can also pan to see this in different ways. You can also zoom in and zoom out. You can close that and select the cropping box to make it bigger, to see more of the ceiling. Now this would be particularly interesting for your furniture because there's so many components. You can also look, and there's a up down. There you go. And close. So you see how these lights, you're going to have many other lights to select from. I'm going to place very fast a couple of ducts, and so you have here the place mechanical, air terminals, square supply, diffuser, and register. So for that you do the exact same thing. You go to component, you say load family, you're going to go to mechanical, architectural, air side components, air terminals, and you have diffusers and registers. You probably want the square ones, so you can select both of them. That means that you're loading both of them, and you can select them simultaneously. Let's see which one is coming in. Now, obviously, the design of this should be related to, as I mentioned before, to a knowledgeable person in regards to how the air moves around, etc. Okay, and I'm going to do another component and select not the register but the diffuser. 12 by 12, 24 by 24. I always place one and start aligning to the ceiling, and then I copy. It's better than placing one after the other one. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating the amount of ingredients. I think let's actually do it more precise. Let's put actually in the back a couple of diffusers, and in the front another one. Okay, so we're going to select these two and copy, place them here. So I think for a room of one bay of grids, I think 2 and 2 distance from each other is good enough. And for a half a bay, if you have an office space, you can place 1 and 1 front and back as well. I think this is good enough. I think this one has too much light, but if it's a laboratory, you really need a good amount of light, not the one we have here. This is a computer lab, which doesn't require as much light. Okay, so this is like the basics of the ceiling. I'm gonna leave it there.